Ron. He put his head up.
Yep. Should be good. Right.
Testing, 1, 2. Call Ron, if you can hear me, raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Good to see you. Okay, good morning, everyone. Today's Thursday, May 8th, a little after 9. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to convene our monthly Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission meeting. We are here on the beautiful island of Kauai. Enjoyed our early flight out this morning. And we'll do a quick roll call. Mark Browning here. Ronnie Barra here. Martha Tournay here. Mike Town. See you on.
Is Mike on?
Won't see him. Okay. And then Mark Patterson here. So 4 of us are present today. So as we move forward, thank you all on the community who was with us this morning. And we have I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of the April 10th, 2025. So moved by Martha Tournay and seconded by Mark Browning. The approval of the minutes for April 10th, 2025. I'm sorry. Yes. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say same. Any abstentions? Okay, motion passed. Good morning. As we move to item number 4 on our agenda, Melanie, how you doing, Melanie? Thank you for being here this morning. We're going to
Thank you for having me.
We're going to go ahead. Melanie Martin is the Deputy Director of Administration for the DCR, and she's been standing in for Director Tommy Johnson's, who were able to make the meeting today. So we appreciate you being here. The floor is yours, Melanie.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Chair. Good morning. So this week, we are, oh man, I have an echo and I cannot talk.
Hearing yourself, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
We can hear you clearly.
Yeah, she's getting.
Okay, so I'm just gonna do my portion with the echo.
I think you're the only one hearing the echo.
Really? Okay. Okay, so this week is National Correctional Officers and Employees Week. So the leadership team here at DCR has been going to all the facilities and sharing the governor's proclamation, declaring this week National Officers and Employees, Correctional Officers and Employees Week. So the first item, re-entry events. On April 5th, there was a Kids Day at the Women's Community Correctional Center. And then on the 12th of April, the Halava Correctional Facility had their first Keiki Day in over a decade. So we're really pleased and very happy about that event. On May 2nd, the Waiava Correctional Facility had a Inside Out Dad Day as well as, Inside Out Dad and 7 Habits from the Inside graduation. On the 3rd of May, the women's had another Keiki Day. And then on tomorrow, there is a graduation for 9 individuals in custody who will be earning their associate's degree in business administration from Chaminade. So I'll be there, and we're just very proud of those individuals in custody. 9 of them are going to be there graduating. Okay, then on the 15th, we have a resource fair, a re-entry resource fair at Halenani. Good morning. Who's saying good morning? Okay, at Halenani on the Big Island, and that's on May 15th. I'm moving on to the recruitment events. On April the 12th, we attended Human Resources attended a career fair at the Hawaii Convention Center, and we had presenters from the Correctional Institutions Division as well as Healthcare Division give presentations on the vast array of careers we have in DCR. On the 30th of April, we participated in the Career Expo at the Neil Blaisdell Exhibition Hall. And on the 20th of May, coming up, we have a career fair at Ke'ehi Lagoon, sponsored by the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations. Moving on to academy classes, we have multiple classes going on now. And the BCRC, which is Basic Corrections Recruitment Class 2503 on Oahu, just started on May 5th. And we are going to also have another Big Island BCRC 2503 starting on May 19th. So I'm not sure if you guys know, but there is a BCRC class 2502 on the Big Island now. They're graduating on the 23rd, but concurrently we're going to have this 2502. We're going to have another class start on the Big Island on 2503. So there's going to be two classes on the Big Island concurrently until the graduation on the 23rd of May. And then on the 16th of May, we're going to have the Oahu BCRC 2502 graduating with 12. 12 recruits are graduating. Okay, so anyway, moving on. Just wanted to mention the trauma-informed training program at Windward Community College. We just got funding from the legislature, $112,000 to expand that program. It's called the Mental Health Technician Program, and we're expanding that to non-sworn or unsworn staff. So non-uniform staff will be able to attend this program, and it's an asynchronous online training program in trauma-informed care. So really excited and very happy about that particular program. So thank you for indulging me. I'm here for any questions. Thank you.
Testimony for the public at this time for the items listed on the agenda. Yeah, on today's agenda, May 8th, item number 4, is 4 bullet points. If any of you would like to have a testimonial on those bullet points. Let me see a raise of hands or digital hand. George, help me out.
He doesn't see any.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none testimonies, I'll open it up to the commissioners for a report. For any discussion. Melanie, I just have a question. You talked about 4 classes, 2 that are ready to graduate, 2 that are beginning on Oahu and the island of Hawaii. In any of those 2 classes, are there any participants from Maui or Kauai?
None from Kauai.
None from Kauai.
But one from Maui is participating in the BCRC 2502 on Oahu.
So there are opportunities for the other 2 neighbor islands to send their recruits, even though they had not had enough for their own class.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Okay. Would you be able to give me a total number of all 4 classes?
I can. So 2503, that's starting on the Big Island. That 8, Oahu is 12. So that's what, 20. And then the ones that are graduating, 12 and 14, Oahu, Big Island respectively. So that's 26. 46. Sorry.
Those are good numbers. Thank you, Melanie. And you foresee yourselves, it's still early in the year, you might have some more classes started in the fall.
We will. And 2504 and 2505. They're like right now, there's like 20 something applicants. Not saying that they're all going to pass all the suitability, but there's like 20 to like 30 of them.
Thank you. Go ahead, Martha.
Melanie, this is Martha, and you may not be able to answer this question, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. I know that in the past, the process of hiring someone through DHER took a very long time. Do you know if that has been shortened in any way to make it quicker from the time that you do the recruitment at these specialized things, being able to bring people into training? Or is it still very lengthy?
We are taking steps to shorten that time, Martha. It does take a long time. We're trying to streamline the process. We've purchased a platform to house background investigations so that we can have all of the background investigation documents all in one place. We are about to execute a contract with a recruitment campaign contractor so that we can streamline that process. Unfortunately, we're still beholden to DHER to get lists from the Central Personnel Agency, and we're still required to do the psychological exams, the written tests, the oral exams. But what we're trying to do is for the written tests, we are trying to get a pool of applicants and have them take a test online. We are not there yet, but we're in the process of looking into that and purchasing a platform so that we can have a pool of applicants ready to go after they take the test, instead of having our staff having to proctor these different tests on the neighbor island on Oahu, and it takes a while. So we are taking steps to streamline the process, and we're hoping that in the near future, it won't take as long.
Thank you. Thank you for your effort.
Thank you. That was a good report, Bill. Thank you. Ron or Mark, any questions?
Nothing.
Thank you, Melanie. Appreciate you being here this morning.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 5, update on legislative bills that are directly applicable to the Oversight Commission. We're going to hear that report from our Oversight Coordinator.
Okay, so just very brief updates. House Bill 1002 was our bill. So that was the bill specific to the commission that was ending the Oversight Coordinator term, making a few different amendments. So it has made it through the legislative session, which is very exciting. At this point, it's on its way up to the governor's office for signature. And so we're really hoping that that will be signed and move forward. But that bill does a few things. So number one, it extends the Oversight Coordinator term from 2 years to 3 years. It also added an amendment so that the commissioners can send up one name to the governor, at least initially, instead of 3, and having to go through the entire interview process immediately if they
That one name must be the incumbent.
Right. Yeah, they can send out the incumbent's name. And the last part was changing around some of the wording, just to really ensure that the commission does have the unfettered access to the correctional facilities at any time, day or night, regardless if there's an investigation going on or not. The other bill is House Bill 300, which is the budget bill. I'm thrilled to share that we received everything we asked for, and so we will have 2 additional staff members coming on. That's our prison oversight specialist and our research and policy associate. We will be posting those positions July 1, as soon as we are available, able to. So very excited about that. It was a great this year, which we're very grateful for, given how last year's session went.
I'd like to hear any testimonies from the public on the business report at this time. We'll open up the floor. Seeing
No
none,
comments.
I'll ask the commissioners if you have any comments on the bills.
Okay.
We're going to move on, since we enjoyed Christian's presentation, to hear her again on item number 6, the overview of the oversight coordinators.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Kristen Johnson. I'm the Oversight Coordinator, and this is our report that we must put out by law. So this month, there's not too much to report on. Very briefly, there's been no reported deaths in custody since February 5th, 2025, which is great. As far as tours, the commission recently took a tour of the Hawaii State Hospital. This was very eye-opening, especially to me. We got to understand a little bit better of the population who's held at the Hawaii State Hospital. One thing that was surprising to me was the amount of pretrial misdemeanants who are held there. It takes up a very large portion of their population. And so in the future, the commission will actually be hosting its meeting in the vicinity of the Hawaii State Hospital so that we can all collectively tour as a commission afterwards, because I do think that the judges on our commission would really get a lot out of it, actually, and that hopefully we can work together. This is a new relationship for us, and we're excited to be working together with DOH. In addition, commission staff and also DCR staff went to Hahoka Impact Center. This was pretty exciting because DCR agreed to join after commission staff had previously toured this space. This is a clean and sober housing. So again, this is a new relationship building, and we really appreciate DCR's collaboration in joining that visit with us. For events attended, the commission attended the Waiava Keiki Day. It was an Easter celebration. It was wildly adorable. They had Easter baskets, an Easter egg hunt. They took photos with an Easter bunny. It was really, really special just to see and be a part of. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the department because they have hosted 10 successful Keiki days at Waiava, the women's facility, their first one ever at Halava Correctional Facility, which is incredible. And also there's an upcoming Keiki Day event coming at Kulani Correctional Facility. So we're really, really excited to see events happening like that. Lastly, as far as events go, commission staff attended the Dismiss Charities Honolulu Community Relations Board meeting. This is actually a quarterly community relations board meeting. And what this entails is that federal agencies, community agencies, and also reentry partners kind of come together, share updates, share resources and different collaborative opportunities. So that was, really helpful for us to learn more about reentry processes in different jurisdictions. And as far as project updates, the biggest update that I want to share is actually on our complaint management. As most of you know, recently we hired our jail oversight specialist, which has been insanely impactful for this office and building our capacity and really looking at complaints. And so we have now officially tracked all of our previous letters that have come in, and so that we can create a dashboard for the public so you can see not necessarily who's writing to us, but where the complaints are coming from, what types of complaints we're receiving, the types of responses we've been able to put out, and really just give out more information as to what we're seeing and hearing in these facilities. And then we're also, in our budget request, we had received funding for our case management system, which will be phenomenal. Everything that we're doing right now is just building towards that. So we're not building a separate system, and then when we were able to get funding for the case management system, starting all over. Instead, we're creating a spreadsheet that'll be completely integrated into that system. So we're really excited about that. And that is it for me for the Oversight Coordinator report. Thank you, Mark.
I'll take testimony on Kristen's report from the community, if there is any at this time. We see it none. Commissioners, any questions? Thank you, Kristen. I really appreciate the hard work you put into your reports and the work of you and your staff getting this done, moving us forward as an organization. Going to move forward to item number 7 on the agenda, because we just want to listen to Kristen again. And we're going to talk about the overview of the Hawaii Community Correctional Center's tour and our report that we put out on our website. We were on the big island last month. Sorry, time just changes when you fly north. So go ahead.
Okay, so on April 10th, 2025, the commission and staff had toured the Hawaii Community Correctional Center, which is HCCC. One thing I want to note that's really important is that HCCC actually has two separate buildings that are about
Separate
3 miles, 3 miles apart. Yeah, campuses. So one of them is Halinani, and then the other is the main. And so as we go through this report, that's important to keep in mind that they're two separate complexes run by the same administration. So the main has a capacity of 126, but the head count on the day of the tour was 248. So that's an occupancy rate of 197%. So the main is extremely overcrowded. Halinani, however, has a capacity of 100, and it had a head count of 49, which is a 49% occupancy rate, so much lower than the main. So in Halinani, the commissioner started there. I just want to point out a couple of things in this report. 6 of the 12 people on furlough were providing community service for Mary Monarch. And although that is really exciting, those individuals were really concerned about finding a permanent job. We wanted to highlight this because the point of furlough is for people to work permanently and not necessarily do community service work. Additionally, the commission had found that the freezer at Halinani was extremely overpacked, and this could prevent food from being kept frozen and preserved properly. And it's unclear to us why that's happening, given that there is a kitchen at the main. So the way that HCCC functions is that all the food is made and prepared at Halinani, and then it's driven over to the main to be distributed to that population. But we wanted to highlight this because, again, there is a kitchen at the main that potentially could be utilized that is not being utilized. And lastly, in Halinani, one issue that we had was that we found that people were not having confidential access to grievances. Commissioners even saw areas where an individual had asked an officer for a grievance, and they said, no, I'm not going to give that to you, do it this way instead. That's completely against policy. If somebody needs a grievance form, they should have the opportunity to get that. It should be confidential. There's also supposed to be grievance boxes where once they fill out the grievance, they can put it in the box again to make sure it's confidential, instead of handing it to a corrections officer who could potentially dispose of it, or not put it in the box, not give it to the correct grievance staff, etc.
You also have to ask for the grievance form where it should be available.
Right.
How asking.
Exactly.
I do want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I want to add to this, it was omitted from the report, but on the woman's side of Mackay, there is one bathroom, there are 2 dorms, one has pretrial people and the other one has sentenced people. And they're not supposed to mix those 2 populations together, so they keep them separate in their dorms. But the bathroom is a single bathroom, and if the pretrialers are using the bathroom, taking showers, the sentenced population cannot go in and use the toilets. And we asked about that, and what the warden told us is there is only 1 handicap shower in that bathroom area. There are a total of 4 regular showers and 1 handicap. And he said because there's only 1 handicap, that's why he has to do the separation. He reported that he will try and see whether he can adapt one of the other showers to be handicapped and then do a wall between the 2. Because never should there be a time when people don't have access to a toilet. Okay, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you. So that kind of concludes the Halinani portion of the report. So afterwards, commissioners went to the main, and they started off in a housing unit called Punahele. There are many issues that have been found within Punahele, and unfortunately, this isn't new. These are things that we have reported on previously. This is probably the most difficult space in the jail. But one of the big issues that I'm concerned about is the commission found that there were 3 women being housed in a dry cell for at least a week, if not longer. This is extremely concerning because dry cells are never to be used as permanent housing. The entire point of dry cells is that if you have somebody who came up with contraband, or if you have somebody who you're looking to house, it's really meant for a temporary space. We're talking a few hours where you can hold somebody and then move them to correct housing. And the reason for this is because dry cells do not have toilets or sinks. And so people don't have access to water in these spaces. So you're completely relying on correction staff to bring people water when we know that this facility is also extremely understaffed. So,
And to use bathrooms.
and to use the bathroom. So very, very concerned about anybody being housed in a dry cell, but especially women who are more vulnerable population in general. In addition to that, there's a space in Punahele, commonly referred to as the fishbowl. This is a space that is supposed to be utilized as a day room. That was always its intention. I'm not sure, frankly, if it's ever been utilized as a day room. At the time of the commission's visit, there were 25 people who were being housed in that fishbowl. And again, there are many, many issues with this. Number one, the fishbowl is not even a housing unit in general. It's a day room, and so it doesn't have, bunk beds, it doesn't have sinks, it doesn't have toilets, it doesn't have anything in it. And so what you end up having is 25 people who are laying on thin mattresses on the floor. It was also very unclear to me how often these people are getting out of that space and able to go outside. In addition to that, Punahele is very overcrowded. Again, this is something that we've frequently talked about previously. In the cells in Punahele that are meant to house 2 people, there were at least 3 to 4 in each cell. And more concerning, people in those cells had reported that they're being locked in 23 hours a day. They're not given the opportunity to go outside for recreation at all. And lastly, that when they do come out to watch the TV, they're shackled by their hands and their feet. This seems really excessive for restraint. The commission doesn't see reason for this level of restraint. This is an issue that once I read the notes, I unfortunately was not able to be on this tour, but once I read the notes from the commissioners, I did call Director Tommy Johnson and talk to him about this issue specifically. And he did add an additional flight to remove some folks from HCCC to lighten some of that overcrowding to get people out. And he made sure the board knew that people need to get outside for recreation. I'm still concerned about this because that seems like a very temporary, although I do appreciate director's efforts, it does seem like a temporary fix. And I'm also concerned because frankly, the warden knows that they need to get outside for recreation. Like that's not something that should have to be reminded. That's a federal standard that people should get out every single day, 1 hour a day, fresh air, sunlight. So all that to say, we're obviously,
Shackled. I was able to talk to 2 of the inmates. One was, where maximum disciplinary segregation was in Punahele. They were the ones that were shackled, and the inmates informed me that they had sores, especially on their ankles from the shackles. And an ACO confirmed that for me. So that was another thing that Kristen brought up with the director.
Yeah. I'd just like to add also that my impression, my observations of areas that we're describing and discussing now is exactly what Kristen has described. I think in some terms it was very traumatic to see what we saw in terms of how these inmates, these individuals were kept for so long in themselves without any kind of aid. The cells being so small with 3 to 4 people, there's absolutely no room. In those cells, maybe there were 2 beds, the other 2 individuals would have to sleep on the floor. I talked to a couple of the inmates. I think one of the things that was striking about the fact that they had been in there for, when I asked how long he had been, or they had been in that particular cell, it was 8 months. And I further asked, in terms of what kind of, if they were offering any services, because obviously the stress being in that confined facility for so long is something that is predictable in terms of there being mental health issues. And clearly, I'm not an expert, but I thought what I saw was individuals in a lot of stress. The response was they weren't getting any kind of mental health outreach, which is combined with everything else.
Kristen, Mike here. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
We're gonna finish the report, then we'll have a discussion on it, Mike. Okay?
okay, so after Punahele, commissioners shifted to Komohana. This is a 2-story housing unit designed for 64 individuals. At the time of the tour, it housed 89 individuals. That unit has 8 showers, but 2 of them are down. So this left 6 showers to be shared by 89 people. So again, there is a concern with federal standards here because it is very specific, right? Like there's supposed to be a designated amount of showers for the amount of people in that space, which is clearly overcrowded. And again, recreation was a big issue. We were told that, outdoor recreation is being offered more frequently than it used to. But concerningly, it's only being offered once per week. This is, again, extremely concerning. This is supposed to be offered every single day for people to get fresh air and sunlight. There is a mix of reasons as to why, mostly being staffing limitations, and also some staff members reported that people turned down outside recreation to use the phones that are located inside the housing unit. Now, if people are turning down outside recreation to use the phones, my response to that would be like, why do those have to be one thing that's put together, right? Like, I think it's reasonable to expect that the department can handle letting people outside for their 1 hour of recreation and then also giving them additional time inside for phone time. I don't understand why that has to be one or the other. But moving forward, then the commission went to Wainuiui. This is a dorm setting. It's a pretty large space, 2 separate dorms on each side. The bathroom was really concerning in this place, in this space. The bathroom required significant maintenance. Sinks were missing handles. Additionally, one concern here was the grievance process. So there was only 1 grievance box in Wainuiui, and so it was on one side. So that means that the other side, the other dorm, did not have access to that grievance box. And again, that means that they need to ask an officer for the form, fill it out, and then hand it back to the officer. And this creates a plethora of issues because it takes away the complete, opportunity, which is also a requirement for confidentiality in this process. On the bright side of things, we were reassured, and we did confirm this, that HCCC and Kulani are about to get a dedicated grievance officer. They were just recently hired, so that's at least comforting. Hopefully they can come in and try to address some of these issues, but we wanted to mention it because this access to grievances is an issue that the commission has brought up pretty consistently in the past as well. The last housing unit the commission went to was Kamana, which is a brand new housing unit. It is not filled yet, as far as I know. It looks like the warden reported on April 13th that they should have the pretrial population. So when the should open?
I forget.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I don't believe that people are in there yet, but I will double check. But it is admittedly a beautiful space. It definitely has a rehabilitative environment that's starkly contrasts with all other areas of the facility. So we're excited that HCCC has that to utilize. The last piece, one of the last pieces that I want to really highlight here, and again, we've reported on this before, but HCCC lacks many of the basic necessities to be considered a true jail. And a fully functional jail. It doesn't have a segregation unit. It doesn't have a protective custody unit. It doesn't have a mental health unit. It doesn't have appropriate space for those on suicide or safety watch. It doesn't have a proper infirmary or perimeter fence or even female housing. And so when we bring up these issues, I do think it's important to also show that managing this population in this space is extremely difficult. This is not easy for any department. It's not easy for any warden. This is really, really a difficult space, and especially given the overcrowding. And also, this building, this jail was built over 60 years. And so there are conditions that have to be addressed. It's an old space. So, so I think that's important when we're talking about all these different conditions, but at the same time, like there are conditions that can be addressed, like taking people outside for recreation, making sure people have access to grievances. Also, visitation is a huge, huge issue for me personally, and also this commission. There's no in-person visitation at this facility, and there hasn't been for over 5 years. That is unacceptable. That is point blank unacceptable. Originally, the reason was due to COVID-19. Then it was due to construction. But again, in-person visitations are so imperative for maintaining the family relationships and the relationships with the community. And so there has to be some type of resolution that ACCC needs to come up with to make sure that people can come in and see their loved ones. The excuse that I've heard in the past is that people can utilize video visits, and that sounds really nice, but video visits are $8 for 14 minutes. That's not a price that most people who are incarcerated can afford. One thing that we've recommended in the past is that if you cannot offer in-person visitation, then offer free video visitation, pay for it. And that's not something that the department has taken advantage of, but we hope something changes there, because that's just deeply concerning. So now shifting into recommendations very quickly. So we have a few recommendations following up from the past. So expanding the furlough utilization at ACCC. Given that there's only 12 people at the time of the visit who are in furlough, but there's space for 50, again, there's an issue with people moving through the system and getting out of the system. And so really looking at that and trying to change so that people are actually shifting through. We also recommended to optimize the new housing units in a pretty specific manner. We recommended that mental health be housed in that space. It's rehabilitative. You can have mental health practitioners run that space with the support of ACOs. This is something that's also come up in the staffing survey we did a little while back, where both civilian staff and uniformed staff really, really like that idea of having that as a dedicated mental health unit. But it's unclear to us how that unit will be utilized. We also have in the past recommended reducing overcrowding, really looking at system-wide population reduction efforts. And in the past, I've heard the director say, we're recommending things that aren't in his Juliana. And although I hear what he's saying, I think that there's a lot of opportunity here for partnerships with the judiciary, bring the judges into the facilities and really show them, when you're putting somebody in the space, this is what's being created here. The commission actually did that a couple of years ago, and we tracked the occupancy rate for a year. And shockingly, after a commissioner had taken the chief judge into the facility, the population went down 20% for a full year. It has since gone back up, but that's just one example of really trying to partner with these different organizations. Because although the judiciary is not the department's Juliana, and I respect that, like it impacts the department's Juliana. So there just has to be more partnership here. We also recommended to enhance programming opportunities to reduce idle time. And so again, just looking at expanding programming opportunities to pre-COVID levels at least, and increasing the fall core training opportunities. And then we've also added some new recommendations. So looking at ensuring access to grievances, and also reevaluating and monitoring the staff posts. We understand that staffing shortages are very, very challenging. But what we're concerned about is at the same time that we're being told that people have to be locked in 23 hours and can't go outside for recreation, we're physically observing 4 to 5 staff members standing at the gate. That's not making sense to us, why that would be happening. And so I think, again, like leadership within the facility, the warden, the chief security, et cetera, really need to make sure that if correction staff are able to help out wherever they can, that they need to be doing that to make sure that people are getting out and not having their rights violated. So that is the HCCC report for this month.
To open it up at this time, for members of the public who are online, if you have anyone want to give some testimony on the Oversight Coordinator's report on the Hawaii Community Correctional Center tour that we did in April. Seeing none, Commissioners, Mike, you wanted to have a comment?
Sure, Christian, just so I understand. Go ahead. I think there's an
Go ahead,
echo.
Mike.
I don't know how to get rid of the echo, but Kristen, Halinani has space while HCCC is overcrowded. Am I off on that or am I correct?
You are correct on that. Halinani is, yeah, Halinani is an interesting space because really it shouldn't be included when we talk about HCCC, right? It's a totally different space because on one side of Halinani, you have the sentence folks, felons, yeah, the sentence folks. And then on the other side, you have furlough. So it's not really the jail population specifically. It's kind of separate from that.
Right. Well, let me speak to that. My experience as a parole commissioner for 8 years was Halinani was staff secure, but not sort of prison secure. And how do we get more people into Halinani and fewer in HCCC? Because it seems to beg the question here. And I've been in both of them. I understand Halinani seemed fairly staff secure, which is fine. Any thoughts on that or any recommendations?
Recommendations to get more people from the main to Halinani?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I will say, so one report that we're currently finalizing right now is looking at the lack of movement in the system. And I think that that'll be really helpful to kind of highlight how to move people through. A lot of that will be applicable to the prison population, but the jail population too, I think there's some relevance in there. And so I don't have a direct recommendation right now, but it's definitely something that we're trying to pull more numbers about to understand better.
Okay. Also, I want to applaud Henry Ting. I'm not going to pick on you, but I love having a public defender here because the Constitution of the United States is the moral imperative. And Henry, feel free to jump in whenever you think it's appropriate. He was very effective in front of me as an attorney on the parole board. Any thoughts, Henry, on Halinani?
Well, that's very generous, Judge. I don't have anything to add right now.
Don't be shy.
Halinani is housing the great majority of women. We do applaud that they're not at the central facility, except for those terrible conditions where we have women in dry cell. And so and I presume I didn't ask the question about why those women were not at Halinani, but it may be that they were higher security levels, but it'd be great if all the women could be at Halinani and none in the main facility.
Any other questions or discussions from the commission pertaining to the tour of the Big Island, or just our one of the reasons that we go and visit the facilities on a monthly basis is to really check in, see what's happening on the ground. Now, we've been doing this for well over 2.5 years. 2.5 years now that we have come up with the recommendations every month that we have gone to a facility. I believe we have been to each facility at a minimum of 3 times. Yeah. And so all the recommendations of the past 2.5 years that we have collected and given to the department based on our tours is on a spreadsheet that you heard Christian talked about a little earlier, that we are tracking to see what responses the department has done and corrections that they have and which ones have not been. And really, when that comes up, commissioners, and the reason why I'm going along this line is this is where we start seeing the patterns. We start seeing where the gaps are in the administration of these correctional facilities. And what Christian said earlier, just I believe so much, is that the individual facility administration and their staff are doing what they can with the facilities that they are assigned to. And it's hard sometimes to correct things that are can be seemingly hard to fix, whether it be structural, programmatic, or even staffing issues. And so we just barely getting by putting out fires on a daily basis. And what we hope to do as we move forward is to take the spreadsheet that's being prepared for us and really provide them more meaningful recommendations to the department at how to manage more systemically the issues that are occurring at the facility levels, and really be of support for them in their legislative ask, in order to provide relief for the staff and for the way we house these offenders. And so that's the purpose of our tours, and that where we are today, because sometimes we can go in there and you see the guys, well, you guys are here the last time, it's still here. So they get frustrated at us because we're supposed to be telling them we're going to get it fixed for them, but it's not getting fixed. But problems are deep and run deep, and not really no one person to blame, but just to have the understanding that we are here to support the department in their ability to get things done at the facility level. So that's what I just wanted to throw out there to all the commissioners. We're getting close to getting to those systemic issues.
And I just want to add, I really appreciate the fact that we're moving forward to reviewing, categorizing, collecting, and then evaluating, or rather listing the recommendations that have been made over the last 2.5 years. As you know, we've talked about that, right? Because to me, that is critical in terms of understanding the effectiveness of this commission and its relationship moving forward with the department. Because nothing is going to change unless that particular issue is dealt with in some sort of meaningful way. And all one has to do is look at the report from our coordinator today, because that's the job presenting. Page 2, 3, and 4, and I mean, all the recommendations here have been restated. Sorry, pages 4, 5, into page 6 are all recommendations. There were only, to add to that list that had not been addressed, 2 additional recommendations. So I appreciate that. And I think it's important also to emphasize that, as you said, Mr. Chair, the systemic evaluation in terms of what this all means will be important in terms of us being able to support the department in the future for the legislature to accomplish the various different goals that I think we all hold in common. Thank you.
And I was going to make a comment too, but it's really echoing what Judge Browning said. And Melanie, one of our hopes is that the reports that we've produced can also be used by the department when you're going for money to make repairs and expansions and stuff like that, that we have been able to document the need for those changes, and want to support you in that effort to make it become a reality. Thank you.
Commissioners, hey, Mike, go ahead, Mike.
Well, Judge Browning and I discussed this. Yes, Judge Browning and I discussed this before. It's an enforcement issue, and it's an agenda issue, and we are oversight and hopefully not nearsight. So I think the more that we shine light and bring fresh air into each of these issues and give it some enforcement, Otherwise, it's just a lot of words. And I agree that exactly what the chair said, we need to keep revisiting this. And I appreciate Melanie being here today. Tommy couldn't make it today. Is that what happened, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah, he's traveling. He's out of state right now. He let us know.
Well, I understand he let us know, but he can also call in on, as I did on this Teams or Zoom. But I'd like to hear, appreciate Melanie being here. I'd like to hear what the director and because a lot of these things are solvable without a bunch of money, but just some rethinking of where people go. And I love what we worry and agonize and in fact help the flow of people all the way through the system until they're off paper, on parole, and then released. But I call it going under the plumeria tree, so to speak. Anyway, that's all I have right now.
So the director is at a conference, so unfortunately he couldn't call in, but rest assured they are working on programs to help to help reduce the population, and we're also looking at a jail on the west side of Hawaii. So we've had a meeting with the mayor, and the ball seems to be rolling in that direction. So I just wanted to assure you that we are looking into resolving some of the issues at HCCC. So thank you.
Thank you. You're always welcome. We appreciate you.
And then if I could add in one thing, because I do think that there is a common misconception with state oversight when it comes to enforcement. So we do not have the power to force the department to do anything. We don't have that type of authority in our mandate. We don't have that type of authority in general. We don't have authority over their budget, over their decisions, nothing like that. There is a fine line between oversight and operations. We are not operations. What we do is we bring up these issues publicly in hopes that it will catch the ears of many different stakeholders, not just the department, but the legislature, the governor's office, public defenders, the judiciary, et cetera, to help the department and help the system move forward. But I just want to reiterate that because I do think that can get confusing, especially when things like federal monitors exist, which are their consent decrees. They have enforcement power. But we do not. And so unfortunately, what it comes down to is that when we're putting out these recommendations and when we're putting out these feelers and how we can help, at the end of the day, if the department does not want to follow through on any of the recommendations or any of the help that we offer, et cetera, that is the department's decision. And we can try to influence that, but we can't change it. And so I just wanted to reiterate that for anybody listening. I just think that's an important distinction.
Kristen, I believe that the court of public opinion is critical. That's why we have these public meetings. I'm looking at Ron and how many other people here and Kat. So the court of public opinion, and the public also turns into juries if we get into court. We're one of 10 out of 200 countries that have citizen jurors. So, and again, I appreciate Henry Ting here from the public defender and with the Constitution. So point well taken, Kristen, and point well taken here, Melanie, but we need to be real aware with our agenda that hopefully we work together collaboratively, not collaboratively. So I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Kristen. We'll go ahead and move on to item number 8 on our agenda. And this is, I can't remember the last time. We're going to be going into an executive session. For those in the community, the commission needs to talk about some personnel issues, which are normally confidential. We'll take about 5 to 15 minutes. 15 minutes, and then we'll come back, close out the meeting. You folks can just stay online, George. They're going to move us to another room, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the meeting and agenda items. The staff will also be leaving at this time. So before we begin, I'd like to take a motion for executive meeting.
So moved.
Second,
It's been moved by Martha today that, and seconded by Mark Browning, that Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission enter into an executive session at this time. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say same. Any abstentions? Motion passed. Okay, we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Are you gonna be able to push a button and then, are we gonna still be able to see them?
You can still see them.
We're muted though, right? Like, you're muted. Give me a signal. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're reconvening at this time. I'm going to ask Martha to summarize the discussion so you folks know a summary of what we're talking about.
So during our executive meeting, we determined the method of evaluating the oversight coordinator, and each one of us will participate in submitting comments under that method. And most likely in July, we will go into another executive meeting to discuss the results with the oversight coordinator.
Okay. Any comments from the community as we move forward on this subject, on the evaluation of the oversight coordinator? Seeing none, any further discussion, commissioners?
Ron?
Ron, go ahead. Did you have a question, Ron?
No, I was late on the agenda, but I wanted to say how much we appreciate having the oversight coordinator in Hawaii. Not only she comes with a great experience, but able to very nicely the things that need to be said and to keep us moving to improve the system. Us locals in Hawaii are too hesitant to be critical, but we appreciate someone who can hit it nicely to keep us improving the system. So I know it's late and we're not part of the evaluation, but we want to, on behalf of Ohana Ho'opele, say how much we appreciate Christine Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Appreciate that. Okay, let's why don't we just move into item number 9 on the agenda, public comment. So I'll just open it up to the floor at this time. Good to see you, Kat. Anybody have any public comment at this time for the commission? Everybody's quiet.
I'm having
today.
trouble getting on.
We can hear you, Kat.
Okay. I've been receiving a lot of calls from Saguaro about the contract monitor that's paid by Hawaii public funds. Her contract is to monitor the contract to make sure that Core Civic is actually complying with the contract from Hawaii. There are already some things happening that are disturbing in that the contract monitor seems to be moving into operational issues that are not her purview. Like receiving certain mail. I sent several people who requested some copies of bills. And she tried to stop that. Luckily, I talked to Tommy and talked about First Amendment rights and how important it is for people inside to know what the legislature is doing that would affect them. So he did allow that to go through, but there have been a whole host of other things that she either doesn't understand her role or she appears to be working for Core Civic rather than the Hawaii taxpayers who are paying her large salary. So I hope the commission understands that when we send people thousands of miles from home, that they are at the mercy of the contractor. And we hope that the commission will support our people in terms of the contract.
Kat, what you're
Yes.
bringing up has happened with other contract managers that have been paid for by the state, not all of them, but others. So it is something I think we need to at least pay attention to. I don't know what we can do about it, but maybe find out some more, give us some more information if you could.
Okay.
Point of question, Melanie, if you can hear me, is the contract monitor accountable to the mainland branch administration?
You know, I'm not really sure. I can find out for you and get back to you with that, Chair.
Thank you.
So your
We
question is, are they accountable to the Saguaro or to, what was your question regarding accountability?
Contract monitor, so somebody at the department should be monitoring her.
I think it is the mainland branch, Melanie.
Yeah.
I think the mainland branch oversees. I think the contract monitor who works at Saguaro but is hired through DCR reports to the mainland branch. That's my understanding.
Oh, yeah,
If I'm
yeah,
not-
yes. So, yes, that's true. Sorry, I misunderstood the question. Yes, mainland branch hires that contract monitor and kind of oversees that monitor.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
And Melanie, this is not, as I mentioned earlier, this is not a new complaint. It's happened with other contract monitors where the incarcerated persons really felt like the monitor was working for the Arizona Saguaro facility and supporting them as opposed to monitoring the contract and ensuring that it was carried out correctly. So it's been an on and off problem.
We just want to clarify that just to ensure that when the questions that will probably come after this meeting are appropriately asked. For you folks to follow up on. Thank you. Thank you, Kat. Any other testimonies for the public?
Or things we should discuss at our next meeting?
Well, thank you everyone for coming to our meeting and being part of us today. Always appreciate seeing you folks here, and many of you have been here since 2019. Thank you for being here on our journey. We will be meeting Thursday, June 12th at 10 a.m. In Maui, at the Maui Community College, and we'll be visiting and touring the Maui Community Correctional Center next month. So.
And it's at 10 a.m. because poor Ron cannot get to Maui any earlier. So we're meeting at 10 instead of 9.
So, hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Melanie, for being here. Appreciate you. And thank you, everyone, for helping us in great legislative session. Aloha.
Thank you, Melanie.
George,